Blog Talk Radio.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Golf Talk Live. I'm your host, Ted Odorico. Got a great show for you tonight. Always good to be back on the air, and this is, of course, the second show of 2016. This is, of course, January 14th, and we're just a week away from, or just a little over a week away from the PGA merchandising show that's going to be taking place, of course, as it does annually down in Orlando, Florida, and I'm going to be heading down there in just a little over a week myself and making the rounds and see if I can see some interesting things that are going to be coming out to the golfing world here in the next year. So I'm going to be doing that. I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I got a great show, as I mentioned. I'm going to be joining here shortly by Mike Fay. He's a PGA Director of Player Performance at the Boyne Golf Academy up in the Michigan area. He'll be joining me here in just a few moments. But first, let me remind everybody, of course, we are live every Thursday night from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time, or 7 to 9 for those of you on the East Coast. And I want to thank you for joining me here. Best way to find the show, for those of you that may be just here for the first time, if you go to blogtalkradio.com, which is the network that hosts this program, and you type up in the search key Golf Talk Live, that will take you to the main page. And, of course, during the live broadcast, the current show is always at the top of the page, so you'll see that there, and you can listen to it there. And for some reason, if you're not able to join us live, not a problem. Just go to blogtalkradio.com/Golf Talk Live. That'll take you to the page, and you just scroll down to the on-demand section. And in that area, you'll be able to find all of the previously aired programs, including tonight's, of course, as they are all auto-recorded. So thank you for joining. Thank you for joining me tonight. And I apologize. It's still got a little bit of a sore throat and a little bit of congestion here. I've been battling. I'm not sure what it is, but for the last couple of weeks, I know last week I had a little bit here. So forgive me if I am sniffling a little bit and coughing or what have you through the show. I'll try to keep it down to a bare minimum. But anyways, also, if you're interested in speaking or calling into the show at any time during the live broadcast from 6 to 8 Central, you can do so by calling area code 646-716-4667, or you can email any questions or comments about the show to ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. And if you're somebody in the golf profession, whether you're a teaching professional or coach, or somebody, maybe you're an entrepreneur or an author, related in the golf industry, if you're interested in coming on the show and would like to share your thoughts or views or maybe a book, as I said, with my audience, you can reach out to me at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. And always update the programs, of course, on social media. So you can go to Facebook and follow me there, either personally, or you can go to the page at Golf Talk Live blog. And while you are there, visiting the page, make sure that you like the page if you haven't been there already. And as I said, I update the shows on social media every week to let you know who's going to be coming up, who the guests are going to be. And so you can follow me there on Facebook. And you can also follow me on Twitter. I also update on Twitter. And the Twitter handle, of course, is Ted N. Buck, CEO. That's CEO in capital letters. And thank you for all of the recent followers again for joining me there on Twitter as well. And as I said, I update on both of the social media. I also actually update on LinkedIn as well. And you can follow me there on LinkedIn if you'd like as well. Update through there to all of my connections as well. So appreciate you joining into the show live. And again, for those of you who can't, just go to blogtalkradio.com/Golf Talk Live, and you can catch us there when it's convenient for you. As I mentioned, I'm going to be joined in a little bit in just a few moments, actually. Very special guest. He's never been on the program, but he's going to be coming on tonight. Mike Fay, he, as I said, is the PGA Director of Player Performance at the Boyne Golf Academy. And he's going to be here talking a little bit about not only the Academy, but some things that he's been working on and how he's able to help some of you golfers out there improve your game. And also an affiliation with the U.S. Kids Golf as well. Has been recognized there with an award. And we'll talk about some other things as well and what he sees taking shape here in the next little while in the golfing world, both on the professional level and also on the teaching level areas as well. So we'll talk to him a little bit about that and some other things as well. But always enjoy doing these programs. I had actually a teleconference show earlier today, and I want to thank my host for that was Pat Roquet, and she's been on. Of course, she's referred to as the business boomer, and she's been on the show a couple of times before. And she does a great job networking and social media expert throughout the industry. And she had me actually on a teleconference call today where we actually helped people with their public speaking, how to really rock your public speaking. So it was a great hour format. And I don't have the link off the top of my head, but I did post it on my Facebook page. So if you want to go and catch that, you can click through the link, and I believe the recorded version is now available. So sorry that you weren't able to join us live, but it was a lot of fun. We enjoyed working with Pat, and we're going to be trying to work on some other projects as well. Got a lot of great things going to be happening this year in 2016. Of course, coming up in a little over a month's time, March 3rd, I believe, is the date. We'll be bringing back, of course, Coach's Corner. And again, for the benefit of some of you that maybe are tuning in for the first time tonight, Coach's Corner was really a format that I put together. I actually took it from another industry, which was the hockey industry. A gentleman by the name of Don Cherry used to host a segment called Coach's Corner on Hockey Night in Canada, and I always found it very interesting and very informative, so I decided to copy it, if you will, and bring a Coach's Corner format here to the golfing world, and made that one of the segments. In fact, the first hour of my 2-hour broadcast beginning this March is going to be returning, of course, Coach's Corner. And generally the format is this, again, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, is I invite a group of coaches and teaching professionals to come on during the panel discussion, and we'll either field some questions that have been submitted into the program from some of you out there, and also I will, from time to time, I will pick some topics that I think need some discussion, and we'll go literally around the table and get the coaches to chime in and give their viewpoint and takes on some of the topics that we're discussing. This year we're going to try and do things a little bit differently. I always like to try and mix things up. We're going to, again, have the panel discussion. I mix it up every week, always having some different guys and gals on the panel just to keep it interesting. But we're going to be having some contests this year. I'm working on some great prizes and things right now. We're going to be having some contests through the course of the year on the Coach's Corner panel discussion. So I'll give you an opportunity to win some great prizes, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get closer to the launch of this year's Coach's Corner season. And that will take place, as I said, I believe March 3rd is the first Thursday in March. We'll have the first panel discussion going then. And then, of course, as always, I'll follow up with a great interview with my special guests of that particular evening. So always looking forward to making some changes and doing some things a little bit differently and adding to, I guess, the decor of the program. And always like to hear from you guys if there's things that you would like to see differently or added to the program. I'm always got some open ears and always looking forward to your input as well. So you can either connect with me on Facebook if you haven't already, or you can reach out to me through my email at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to take a look at that. And also, as I said, if you're interested in coming on the show, you're welcome to do so by reaching out to me again on at my email address, and that's ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. I want to bring on my guest. I see that Mike's ready, so let me just introduce him, and then I'll bring him on the show, and we'll continue our discussion here. Mike, as I mentioned, Mike Fay is the PGA Director of Player Performance at the Boyne Golf Academy. With 20 years of teaching experience, it's easy to see why Mike has become a leader in the world of golf instruction. Everything from cutting-edge social networking techniques to having a mobile app, Mike has helped to change the face of teaching golf. I want to start off by talking a little bit also about a program that he's created through Twitter, through one of the social media networks he created called Ask the Pro. He collects viewer questions and sends them to some of the world's best instructors, commentators, and players. And it's with their responses, once they're sent back for all to see. The worldwide response to this innovative way to use social media networking has been amazing. And in fact, Ask the Pro was featured back in May of 2012 edition of the PGA Magazine. He also owns his own website, MikeFayGolf.com, which I strongly urge after the program tonight that you go and check that out. And he's utilized a team of writers which have joined with him to collaborate, if you will, and contribute to the content of the website. And each of the writers, of course, has their own specialty, some specializing, of course, in golf fitness, the mental side of the game, rules of golf, history of golf, and, of course, golf instruction. And these writers, as he's indicated, are leaders themselves in those particular fields. So a great always to collaborate with fellow professionals in the industry. Also back in 2012, he was named as Michigan's first and only Golf Channel Swing Fix certified instructor. And as most of you know, that if you're familiar by now, that the Golf Channel Swing Fix is an online lesson program with roughly about 60 worldwide instructors. The Swing Fix instructors have been featured on the Golf Channel's website as well. So without further ado, let me bring on my very special guest tonight, Mike Fay.
How you
Good evening,
doing,
Mike.
Ted?
I'm doing very well. Welcome to Golf Talk Live.
Oh, thanks so much for having me on.
Well, I appreciate it. I know you have more things. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go along. I know you have a lot more accreditations, if you will, but there was just so many. I'd take up most of the hour just reading them all off. So I wanted to get you on here as quickly as we could and get into some conversation. Let me start off, Mike, by doing this since you haven't been on the show before, and I know you've got lots of things that you want to talk about. Let's talk about first about the academy that you're involved with, where it is, and what are some of the things that you're doing up there.
Sure, it's the Boyne Golf Academy. Boyne Resorts own and operates about 10 golf courses in northern Michigan. It's a pretty big corporation up here. It's pretty awesome, and we run academies out of 2 different locations. And it's so beautiful up here, Ted. In the summer, it's fantastic, and then in the winter, it's just a snow wonderland. And we've got the best ski resorts in the Midwest. It's just going nuts now. We just got another foot of snow this last day. It's fantastic. So it's a beautiful place to be, and good stuff going on up here. We've over the last year or so, we've put in Gears Golf. We have TrackMans. We do a bunch of TPI fitness with our players. It's all good stuff. We keep players going all year long, and I'm just honored to be here. That's good.
Well, I appreciate it, Mike, for coming on and sharing that tonight. And you know, it's interesting. Now, I have not played a lot of golf up in Michigan over the years, but I know that Michigan, a lot of people may not realize this, especially if you're fairly new to golf. Michigan does have some great courses up there, a lot of courses, a lot more than people probably realize, and, of course, some great instruction. And I know that you're excited, obviously, to be a part of that, being up in that area. And as you said, right now you're kind of dealing with the snow and that, which I'm sure you're probably. I'm sure a lot of the people in the area are probably glad to get that, especially in the ski resort business. It was a little bit mild here earlier in the year, so it's probably good to get the snow and it's actually good for a lot of reasons, and it's good for the ground and all that sort of thing. But it's good that you're able to work with golfers all year round, because I know that's, you know, traditionally in the Northeast, particularly when this time of year rolls around, everybody sort of puts their clubs back into the back of the garage and kind of kicks up their feet and starts doing other things or relaxing and kind of forgets about golf for a little while. So how do you keep some of your students motivated to come back out and keep working through the winter months on their games?
Yeah, it's just trying to change that outlook and the stigma of putting the clubs away, in October. I mean, our season ends the middle of October and begins in May. So, showing them how much better they keep getting, that's the biggest thing. They just keep getting better when they spend some time on it in the wintertime. We have a different climate than Detroit does. We're 4 hours north of Detroit. But putting in that extra time, even once a week with us guys, makes a tremendous difference next summer. And one of the things I try and stress with people is that, don't you want to play great golf next summer? And that, it's about next summer,
Yeah.
And get rid of this slice ball flight and let's hit the ball straighter and we come out just having fun. And it's good. Most of my players, if I start working with them in May, it's September and we start seeing some good scores being shot now all of a sudden.
Right.
It just takes that much time to get that many scores in to lower your handicap, things like that. I think people don't understand that. It does. It takes time. It takes coaching. So it's good.
Yeah, and you raise a very interesting point, Mike. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize, with golf, it's not like really other sports. The more that you work at it, obviously, the better you become. And one of the problems, as we were just talking about, with especially up in the Northeast in some areas where the climate changes. I'm being down here in Florida. Of course, I have the benefit of playing golf all year round in pretty comfortable conditions. So, I can work on my game if it was. Or students that I work with can work on all year round. But up in the Northeast, it is a little bit of a disadvantage. And obviously some instructors have academies and things that they may come down south to work with during the off-season. But, one of the important things, I think, Mike, of encouraging students to really work through their game, and that doesn't mean they have to go out and beat balls all winter long, but there's a lot of things that they can do, even in their own house, that they can work with an instructor, and there's some tricks and tips, if you will, that they can do even in the confines of their house if the weather's too bad that they can't come out to your facility. Are some things that you have done that you've shared with your students, things that they can do even around the house just to kind of keep in shape and keep things going through the season?
Yeah, I sit down with my students. I give them, I'm TPI certified from, Titleist Performance Institute, and try and, give them a program. Identify what's going on with their body, why they can't swing the club the way that they want to, and help them and give them exercises and things like that they could do at home. And I kind of make it like this. It's kind of a partnership. I need your help. You need to keep working on these things to get better and better. So, we put together a program for them. As they get better and better, we show them the results with things like gears and TrackMan and video and all the other things that we do indoors. And like you said, there's a lot of things that we can do indoors to really work on our games. One thing that I find that really helps people is if you're watching a ball game and during the commercials you just get down on the floor and stretch. It really helps people. That sounds silly, but it really does. And if someone takes that, just little things like that, using a couch to swing against to stop a slide in your backswing, things like that. Just little simple things add up in the end. And, when we do that, it's pretty cool. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, and again, you raise a great point. One of the things that I've always done, and it can be done very economically. You don't have to spend a lot of money to do some of these different things. And one thing that I've always done, right now I have the benefit of having a full-length mirror in my house, so I'm able to see that. But for those of you that maybe don't have that already built in, you can go for very easily. You can go to a local hardware store or somewhere and just get a small full-length section of mirror, very inexpensive, and make sure, of course, it's framed so you're not cutting yourself. And again, you can do it very inexpensively, and just sort of lean it up or put it up against a wall. And really the purpose of this is it gives you an opportunity. If you've living up north, of course, you have a basement. Even better, you can keep it out of the wife's way, and she doesn't have to worry about it breaking up on her rug or what have you. But the idea, what I used to do when I was up and coming is I would use that mirror in order to check different positions as I'm working through my swing. And you don't necessarily have to take a full swing and be swinging a club indoors. You can either, if you've got some of the great training tools that are out there where maybe it's a shorter club or some of the other swinging tools that aren't as long as a full-length club, and you can just sort of swing these in front of the mirror, looking at your different positions, checking your ball position, that sort of thing, checking your stance and your posture. You can do a face-on, you can do it down the line, all kinds of great things that you can do within the confines of your own home. So, for those of you that might have an excuse, well, it's kind of cold outside now and I'm putting my clubs up, there's really no excuse for being able to work on your game really all year long, correct?
Yes, I mean, mirror work is really important. Using video and showing people what it looks like versus what it feels like is invaluable, and then them going home and doing it. I'm sure there's a lot of my players are in the bathroom swinging or pretending to swing to work on their golf game, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I put it out like this. I think, not a huge time commitment, just a little bit a day, and then all of a sudden next summer things are better, and it's good stuff.
Yeah. We're going to talk about some of the other things that you're doing, but let me just read a little bit more here for those that maybe aren't familiar with you, Mike. I know you've got a mobile app as well that helps some of your students connect with you. And it really gives an opportunity to read some of the latest articles from your website, as well as recap and some of the previous lessons and submit questions to Ask the Pro, which we talked about. We'll get a little bit more on that in a moment. The app was featured as well in the February 2012 edition of the PGA Magazine. Tell us a little bit about the app and first of what's the app called and where can they download it if they so choose, if they haven't already have it, and a little bit what's in the app.
Sure. Yeah, they don't need to download it. It comes in from the website. In fact, right now it's down. We're working on it. But it really helps me connect to my students. I mean, the website with all the things I've done, I've dedicated that to my students to stay connected to them as their coach. So whether it's articles that we write on rules of golf or golf instruction or whatever it may have, and the app just helps them navigate through what they want to look for. It's pretty neat to be able to do that kind of stuff, and show them in the palm of their hand that they can, be connected to me, and that, this is this age, right? I mean, I get messaging on Facebook and Twitter and everything else from my students all the time. Get questions a lot for Ask the Pro through that way, and I'll get text messages from my players in the middle of the night in the summer that they are putting well. What should I do? You know what I mean? It is.
Yeah.
You're always connected, and it's important to me that they deserve that.
Yeah, and explain for those that obviously in addition to some regular folks that tune into this program, there's also a lot of other golf instructors. Most of them are getting a little bit more tech savvy or social media savvy, but really explain the importance, because I think you just kind of hit it on the head, the importance of being engaged with your students in some of these forums.
Well, you have to. I mean, being able to keep contact with them. You're their coach. So no longer, I made a video a couple of years back called The State of the Game. And it talks about how we have to change the way in which we think about the business of golf instruction for golf to grow. And, no longer are the days of here's a lesson and take a couple aspirin and I'll see you in the morning.
Right.
If you want golf to grow, you have to be connected to your players and you have to continually help them. And that's how we get better at playing golf. It's not just one lesson and one drill and gone. So, it is important that way. And I use social media that way to connect with those guys. It's neat to watch.
Well, and I think also too, Mike, and I'm sure you'd probably agree with this, in today's generation, especially some of the younger generation coming up, maybe not so much of and even some of the older ones are doing it now more, but a lot of the younger generation, they are very heavily involved in social media. That's their way that they connect. That's the way that they sort of navigate through the murky waters, if you will, of day-to-day life. And if you're not tapping, I look at this, and I was talking to somebody today. Actually, we did a teleconference earlier today before this show, and one of the comments that I made was essentially about how, traditionally golf courses basically opened up their doors and people came to them. But those days are really gone. You have to go after your clients now. You have to be aggressive in the point, or assertive, I guess is a better word. And social media, particularly for the younger generation, if you are not, and you don't have to be an expert, But if you're not utilizing some of these tools, these social media tools that are out there, you're going to be losing a lot of business, because that's how that's how we're really going to grow the game, is by tapping into this newer generation that uses social media. And if you don't do it, and you just sort of rely on the older traditional methods, not that they're all bad, but if you rely solely on those, you're going to end up closing up shop in a relatively quick fashion. Is that a pretty good accurate assumption?
You're exactly right. You're exactly right, Ted. I mean, right now, who has time to sit down? I have to be honest. I don't watch the news. I don't.
No.
I get my news on Facebook. I get
Yeah.
my news on Twitter. It just comes right through, Yeah. And it's everything is on there. It's not just connecting with the people and letting them know that you're, giving a golf clinic next Thursday. It's about talking to them and interacting with them and having fun with them and, things like that. That's what people want. And it's the new way of visiting. Remember when we were kids, we'd go over to visit someone.
Yeah.
Social media is visiting. It really is. And I enjoy it. It's fun. I mean, I'm an old guy for doing all this stuff, but it's fun. I enjoy, I do. I enjoy the interaction with the people and, with my players and stuff like that. I get a big kick out of it. It's fun. So. Well,
I think one of the advantages, Mike, really of social media is it allows you to connect with so many more people. Going back to what you just said a moment ago, I remember growing up and, when you wanted to visit, you went over to your friends and you visited, or you met at some sort of, collectively at a spot, whether it be up, at a school or a recreation hall or a sporting hall, and you did your things there. But now you're able to communicate with people. Doing this show, for an example, I've been able to communicate with people literally from all over the world that either tune in, listen to the show, or have come on the show as a guest, and from all over, of course, the United States. So normally in traditional methods, you'd have to be hopping a flight here and there to be able to connect with a lot of these people. So social media has really opened up a lot of doors and allowed you to exchange ideas and different forums, whether it be on Facebook or Twitter, as you said, or whether it be in a forum like this. But let me ask you this, and I ask this of a lot of people, and if you've tuned into the program, which I know you have, you may have heard me say this a time or two. There is a downside with technology as well. What are some of the downsides that you have seen that maybe we need to sometimes be careful that we're not doing too much of it and not overwhelming our students with it? And how do we find that happy balance?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there is too much of it. I mean, we still have to remember that we have to talk to somebody in the face, right? I mean, it can be it can get that bad for a lot of people. They constantly have their phone in their hand and all that stuff. But as far as from a technology perspective, absolutely. TrackMan's great. It's fantastic. Right. Do I show every shot that a player hits, their TrackMan? No. I don't. I don't show them every shot. I go through and I have progress of what's going on, and here's an average of your numbers and things like that. Technology can hurt, absolutely. Because, like we were talking about earlier, it takes time to change a game.
Yeah.
And the worst thing that can happen is someone starts to take some, golf coaching and they stop because they don't see, them getting better. We have to show them how they can get better and work with them and continually do that. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, technology can be a downside if that's all you do. You have to be able to do other things.
Yeah, one of the criticisms that I've heard from within the industry, and I think we're on the same page here, is, these tools are just that. They're tools of the trade. They're things that help the coach or the teaching professional to be able to, number one, assess the situation a little bit better, a little easier than what it might have been, 20, 30 years ago. I mean, certainly you have to have a trained eye as well, and that always comes into play. But certainly the technology has helped and made life a little bit easier for the teacher professional. But if your head is in the monitor, in the screen all the time, and your student, is asking you questions, and you're so involved in the technology that you're not really able to focus and not really communicating face to face with that individual, then there becomes a disconnect, I think. And so, again, I'm not knocking technology. I think it's great. I love it. But I think we have to find a happy balance in there. And I think a lot of the professionals that are out there now are starting to realize that and saying, hey, we want to have this technology, but we got to be careful that we don't get too wrapped up or consumed up into the technology that we forget that, hey, Bob's over here taking a golf lesson.
You're right. And Bob wants to break 90 tomorrow.
Right.
You know, that's the goal. The goal is what Bob wants to do. You know, and make a game plan with him. You know, it's not about trying to get zeros on your path in your face, angle numbers. You know, it's just not like that. But you're right. These are coaches' tools that we use, whether it be video. You know, I use a lot of Edify. I'm real big into Edify to explain things to people and do videos and put things into their accounts and help them play better. You know, whatever that I use to help them, you know, recognizing what type of learner they are, all that kind of stuff, and then what gets them better. And, you know, some people, I might use TrackMan a little bit more. Some people I might use video a little bit more. But it depends upon the player, and it's what they really need, Ted. They do. It is, you know, whether it's more fitness and more drills and not so much hitting golf balls. You know, I'm not a big ball kind of coach. I don't like watching them hit balls all day. I would rather have them learn and then go work on it themselves. You know, have them get better themselves. That's rewarding.
What about playing lessons? I mean, obviously this is something that more and more coaches are doing now. I mean, you know, in days gone by, you know, the idea was we took them out on the range and we had them work on different aspects of the game. We had them go through, you know, maybe we created different workstations, if you will, whether it be on the putting green or the bunker shots, that sort of thing. But in today's reality is golfers need to be able to have real life experience out there in the golf course. So do you try to work some of that into what you're doing up at Boyne right now and getting them out there on the golf course as well? And again, obviously it's a balancing act. You have to have some range time, but you also have to have real course experience. What are some things that you try to do with your students while you're out in the golf course?
While we're out on the golf course, we're trying to see what we can do to take what we're learning on the range to the course. And the ultimate thing is to lower our scores, right? So when I'm taking players out, I might come out and you know, as part of, I really rarely give individual golf sessions or coaching sessions. Most of my players are, you know, are packages where that's part of their package. And you know, if they book an hour with me, we might go play 3 or 4 holes. So not only do we see how they're doing, am I doing a good job, Ted?
Yeah.
Are things coming together for them? Are they seeing the golf course differently? You know, I try and separate what we do on the range from what's on the course. On the course is playing. What we're doing on the range is learning. Playing is different from learning. But I kind of relate it like this to a lot of my students. You know, remember when you used to study for that quiz or that test? Well, the test is on the golf course. And if you didn't study and you didn't put in the time on the range, you're not going to do well on the course. And, you know, when people think about it that way, it really helps them to understand that's what they have to do. They have to put in the time. They can't just see me once a week. They have to do it on their own as well. You know, it is. That's the way it is.
Well, the truth of the matter is, Mike, you know, and this is something that I think a lot of professionals have a hard time with, as you mentioned earlier on in the conversation, you know, people are very restricted with their time. And it's not like it used to be years ago where, you know, people didn't mind going out to the driving range a couple of times a week and, you know, in addition to their lesson, maybe they were playing a couple of rounds a week. You know, that's not a normal scenario in today's society. People are very strict and stringent with their time right now. So they're trying to get, you know, for lack of better words, the biggest bang for their buck. So that they want to break 90, as you suggested. They want to be able to do that, but they don't have as much time. So we want to be able to utilize the time as best as we can as instructors, and we want to make sure that they're making the best use of their time when they're away from that lesson. And I see here also in some of the notes And I want to bring this in there because there's some great aids here, and I want you to explain a little bit about each of the aids, and obviously I'm sure you're very honored. Back in 2013, of course, you were named as a brand ambassador, for the iGolf training aid, which was great golf products. And then again, subsequently in 2014, you were also named again as a brand ambassador for Game in Glove, which was launched actually the 2015 PGA Merchandising Show and was featured, of course, on the Golf Channel. Tell us a little bit about each. Let's start with the iGolf training aid. Tell us a little bit about what that is and how you try to work aids like that into your teaching.
Absolutely, yeah. The I is a training aid where, its main goal is to try and keep you centered in your golf swing and keep you looking at the golf ball while you swing and move, whether it's with a driver all the way down to your putter. So it's a pretty cool little aid that you have to look through the eye or the hoop and watch the ball and hit golf balls underneath it. It's really helped people with all parts of the game, but especially short game, or be chipping and pitching and putting and things like that. It just gives people an idea that they are moving off of the golf ball or standing up or whatever they're doing in their swing, and it just helps me teach them better. I was involved in the production of that and helping out as well as Game and Glove, trying to make it better before we brought it out.
Now,
so
before you tell a little bit about Game and Glove, now obviously these products they can learn more about that on your website. Is that correct? There's more information.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, they can go to their website. Sure.
Yeah, I just don't want anybody leaving during the show to go and do that. So after the show, we'll give you that link again, everybody, and you can go and take a closer look at that. Tell us a little bit about the Game in Glove. What is that, and how does that work?
Yep. Game in Glove is an awesome product. It's a golf glove that has a laser attached to it, and the laser can rotate, all depending upon the club that you are using. And it comes with a mat that has an outline on it of different paths of the golf swing. It also has a club face realizer, which is a decal of the club face on the back of your lead hand. So kind of you realize the club face is pointing wherever the back of your lead hand is while you swing. And so it has been a great training aid to give people the feeling of what it feels like to hit good golf shots. It really has. And you can use it with the mat, or you can hit golf balls next to it. It's a fantastic training aid, and it's been a lot of fun to use it and be involved with Game and Glove. It's good stuff.
Perfect. I also see here some of the awards that you received over the last few years. You received, of course, back in 2014, the Northern Michigan PGA Horton Smith Award, of course. And then also, I see that you're certified with U.S. Kids Golf, and you've received in 2013 and 14 was recognized as a U.S. Kids Golf Top 50 Kids Teacher. Tell us a little bit about that, about your affiliation with U.S. Kids Golf and junior golf in general.
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, we're, like you were talking about, going down to the PGA show here in a week or so. They named me U.S. Kids Golf Master Kids Teacher, Top 50 Master Kids Teacher. I'm honored. If you win the top 50 3 times in your career, you get the Master. Junior golf is at the heart of what I do. I try and get families to play more golf. I put together golf tournaments, my own program at Boyne Mountain, where we try and get families out to play and kids out playing, little ones, and having fun. And things I do with them is pretty special to me in the summertime. And I'm also part of the first tee of Northern Michigan. We are growing and growing different locations all throughout Northern Michigan, and I'm on the board of directors with them, and I coach the kids that way with the first tee, and that's really important to me as well. Life's values through golf. It's pretty cool. and golf in schools too. Right now we're doing golf in schools. Neat to go over for a day and teach the kids during gym class golf and have them hold a golf club, and some of them never played golf before. That's cool. It's good stuff.
And that's something. Yeah, and that's something that I've really said. So many other sports, whether it be football or baseball, and particularly up in the Northeast, we have hockey and things like that. That a lot of the kids that go to school are involved with, but golf is really something that has eluded this in a general sense. I mean, there's certainly collegiate golf and that, but it's not until you get to that level really that you really start to see golf in that platform. So it's kind of nice to see that the schools are starting to incorporate that a little bit into their physical education. This is something that obviously we want to see more of, because I think really to grow the game, I've always said this, there's really two areas, in my opinion, that the game really can grow by leaps and bounds. Number one, I think, obviously, in the women's market, with 51% of the population, in fact, I think it's 53% of the population right now are women, there's a huge potential for growing this game there. And that's not to say that there aren't plenty of guys out there that could be playing golf as well, but there's really an untapped market in comparison to the men's market. And then obviously, of course, the junior golf. We want to, at least introduce kids at a very early age, whether they have aspirations to be the next, Annika Sorenstam or Tiger Woods or Rory McIlroy or whatever, Jordan Spieth. Those are pretty lofty goals. Or whether they just want to, play golf recreationally or maybe use it as a business tool later on in life. We want to just get those kids involved. And I think there's a lot of terrific programs out there for kids, but unless you're somebody that's been raised in a golf environment, a lot of them don't know that. So I think that getting somehow into the public school on a national basis, I think would be fantastic. And I would be the first to really lobby the PGA and LPGA tours and other governing bodies to really aggressively go after that, because I think that's really the way to grow this game, is to get it into the school system and get it part of their regular curriculum in their education classes, the physical education.
Absolutely. If I had the power, I'd give every school a snag golf set. Let them have fun. It's all good. I mean, that's one great thing that the First Tee up here has done, is get into the schools and get the kids introduced to golf, get them playing more golf, and I take it from there and start to build, family relationships and things like that, where, it's fun to watch a 5-year-old play partners with her mom or her dad in a tournament or something like that. It's cool.
Right.
Get into it. It's neat.
Yeah, it is, and you're right. There's a lot of great examples out there of parents playing golf with their kids, and I think it also takes away from some of the some of the fear that it's purely a sport for the elite, and that it's a sport really for anybody. I think it's just primarily it's been something that has been sort of for those that have pursued a different avenue, if you will, at a higher level, and people assume that, well, I'm never going to make it on the PGA or LPGA tour, so what's the point? But just going out and having fun, and as you've experienced with the First Tee program and some of these other programs out there, just seeing these young kids out there just having fun. The opposite word really in golf should be fun. If you're having fun, and they get exposed to something like that, they're going to want to come back, and later in life, as they grow older, then they're going to, be interested in becoming a better player, and of course that opens up the lesson tee a little bit more. But also, I think it'll help the bottom line of a lot of golf courses. And you touched on something earlier, Mike, that was really good. Is really family golf. There is a huge opportunity, I think, and a huge market still. For a lot of these resorts out there to really target families. And by getting the kids involved, because usually when the kids are involved, parents will get involved.
Sure.
And, obviously there's a lot of competition for their attention right now through not only social media, but for some of the traditional sports like football and baseball and other things that we've talked about. But there's a huge opportunity with so many resorts around the world, and particularly here in the United States, to get the families involved, going down to Disney World and taking some golf clubs and playing golf, not just going to see Mickey Mouse, but get out there and play some
right.
golf as a family. I mean, what better way to promote family unity than to get out on a golf course for 3-4 hours?
Right. I mean, I'm sure you had your folks that brought you. I did too. I mean, I had my dad that took me out there, and we need to be able to make it accessible for parents to be able to do. And we do a great job of it at Boyne. I mean, we've got some awesome programs that really push family golf, whether it's my junior golf program or our Sunday fun days where dad pays the twilight rate and mom and up to 2 kids play for free in the afternoons, stuff like that. They have to do those things to encourage it for sure. I mean that's the way it's going to go. I mean, every time I'm working with the kids, one of my goals is to make sure that they're having so much fun that they don't necessarily know they're learning how to play golf. And that's the neat thing, that they, it's pretty cool. It's good stuff.
And again, emphasizing fun. I think if the kids are enjoying it and having a good time, they're going to want to come back and do it. And parents are always trying to find things that they can do as a family. So it's a great way, and I'm glad that your organization up there is aggressively pursuing that route, because I think it's going to help in the long run. Let's talk about something that everybody sort of curls their toes a little bit when they hear these words, but fitness and particularly golf fitness. We all have to stay in shape. We have to eat well as best we can. Sometimes we all fall off the wagon and cheat a little bit. But obviously, golf fitness is important, and that doesn't mean just going to the gym and working out with some weights. There's a lot of things that you can do to stay in shape and get those golf muscles, especially at this time of year, as we talked about. Tell a little bit more about how you sort of handle that aspect of things, not only for yourself, but also for your students, to make sure that they're going to stay in shape throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the biggest thing, especially for up here, I mean, we average about 100 to 120 inches of snow a year. So we're inside a lot. And being active. I mean, that's the biggest thing. You got to break it down to being active, whether, like I was saying earlier, that, you get down on the floor during commercials and you do a lot of stretching, things like that. I mean, one of the things when I'm coaching with players is making sure that, we find out the deficiencies in their body and help them build those to make a better golf swing.
Yeah.
Help them hit the ball farther, all those kinds of things. And so, designing programs tailor-made just for them, where we go, okay, this is a great exercise to help you with this. This is a great exercise to help you with that. Maybe, I had a couple of people I was coaching over the past week that, they said, I think I need to go to physical therapy. It really hurts. Okay, well, maybe that encouraged them to go and do it.
Yeah.
Going, because they want to play better golf. Not to be that bad or whatever, but I've seen a lot of players that look very physically fit, and then when we put them through DPI, they don't do well. And so we have to change their workouts and their habits to, gear more towards what they want to do with the golf ball. So it's good.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. I've had a guest on the show a number of times. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him or not. He's from the North Carolina area. Bob Foreman. He's a certified fitness instructor, but he really deals with the golf industry. And, he said something on one of the shows very early on. He's mentioned it a few times, but he said that they do, of course, a fitness assessment of golfers. And he said that something like, and don't quote me on this, but it's something like about 80+% really struggle with a lot of very basic things, because they're not, even though people that he would think would be in good shape, really struggle, because there's a lot of muscles that are used in golf. It's not just the big muscles. There's a lot of stabilizing muscles that are used as well that most people don't use day in, day out. And also, one of the big things that people miss in golf, people think, well, if I go to the gym and I'm working out with some weights and, I'm bulking up and I'm in pretty good shape, but they have terrible flexibility.
Right.
And to be a good golfer, you have to have good flexibility, especially to be a very good golfer. You can get away with some things, here and there, but stretching is extremely important. Your glutes, which is, of course, your buttocks, they have to be in good shape too. It doesn't have to look good, but they have to, have to, because they're supporting, a lot of your core. And again, your core is another area that has to be, and that doesn't mean you can't have a little bit of extra around the midsection. It just means that you have to have a solid core. It has to be able to support really the trunk of your body, because you're making moves essentially, Mike,
right.
that are involving a lot of strain and stress. So if you're out of shape, this is why you're seeing a lot of, especially as we get older, a lot of golfers that can't quite get to the top anymore. So what are some things? Do you have some drills and things? I know it's hard that we can't show them here, but are there some things that they could maybe see on your website, or if they get in touch with you that you'd like to instill in your students about things that they can do to stay in shape?
Yeah, sure. One thing that we talk about a lot is hip mobility. Especially you look at the jobs that people have these days. If they're sitting at a computer, hip mobility is going to be tough, and they get tight. They get tight hamstrings and tight hip flexors and things like that. So, one simple exercise that I help people with is to try and loosen up those hips, and they can do it in 5 minutes at home. Is just stand up next to a wall. For balance, put one of your hands on the wall and lift up one of your feet and make the alphabet with that foot, with it up in the air. And it's amazing. Once you get to M, all of a sudden this thing starts screaming in your hip, because you're not used to isolating it and getting it stronger. Just little, like I said, it's a lot of little things I try and coach people with. I don't want them to go all out and hurt themselves. It's just a little bit here, a little bit there, and then before too long, they don't have to hold on to the wall, and they can just, lift up their foot and do it. So, those are things like that. Hamstring tightness is a big thing that I see a lot of. It can cause, people to stand up and things like that, and, just stretching. I mean, just a quick story. A few years ago, I had some juniors, the 13, 14-year-old kids that come to me and they want to play competitive golf. And I'm going through, some of the TPI evaluation with them, and they couldn't touch their toes. I mean, they couldn't even come close, Ted. Yeah. And, it took about 6 months, and I get a phone call in the middle of the winter from one of them. And, hey, I can touch my toes now. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing him because I want to see him hit it better. Because I know if he can touch his toes, he's going to make better contact with the ball. Things like that. It all works out. It's good.
Well, and the other thing, too, you raised a very sort of humorous thing. At the age of 13, 14, you should be able to touch your toes. At that age, you have a lot of flexibility. When you start getting up to your 50s and beyond, as I'm creeping in, it's a little harder to touch your toes. Not saying I can't, but it becomes a little bit harder the older you get. So at 13, 14, when somebody tells you they can't touch their toes, they have poor flexibility. And that, again, is something, if you want to play good golf, you have to have some good flexibility. Let me, on that theme, let me ask you on that theme, because you mentioned about them wanting to play competitive golf. What advice would you give? I'm sure you get approached by parents that might say to you, Mike, I've got a youngster here that plays, pretty decent golf. How do I go about getting him or her involved in a program? What advice would you instill if parents that might be listening that have a junior that wants to play competitive? What would you advise them, and where should they start?
Yeah, whatever level they're at, whether it be a high school golf team or college or, things like that. We go through a list of different local events that they can play in, spending a lot of time with me, just trying to get them to think differently when you're playing competitive golf. It's a big deal. They really, the kids, they want to play, the parents want to play, they want them to play. We have to be careful with that sometimes too,
Right.
Parents get going. they do. And, every kid is different.
Parents, parents can be a little overzealous, and a lot of times they want to, think that their kid's going to be the next, phenom out there, and the reality is that, unless little Johnny or Sally or whatever the case may be wants to put in some hard work, it's just not going to happen. And you want to be encouraging, and but you have to be realistic as well. And especially as a golf professional, you don't want to be pushing somebody into something if they're really not willing to make the commitment to do what needs to be done, because it's not an easy journey. And for anything, not just golf, but any sport or anything in life. And you mentioned it very eloquently early in the show. Golf does mimic life in so many ways, and there's a lot of things that you can learn from each, and that sort of blend into one another. Let me ask you. We're getting close to our time here, but let me ask you. Since we talked about it at the beginning, I want you to explain a little bit more about the Ask the Pro show that you have through Twitter. Tell us a little bit about how that works, and what are some of the things what are you trying to accomplish with that?
Absolutely, yeah. The Ask the Pro show, it started in March of 2011 on Twitter. Originally, it started as a way for my students to ask me questions on Twitter and me answer them, things like that. And it got to the point where I started to enlist some of the best people that I've met on Twitter to help me help these people play better golf. And I turned into the host. So the people that follow Ask the Pro send questions in, and I send the questions out. It's an amazing thing. I'm just honored that everyone wants to help me with this. There are a lot of great people in the world of golf. That's all I have to say. And they really like Ask the Pro. And it's fun. I really have a good time doing it. And it really, because of, there's really no other social medium that we can do Ask the Pro on, where with Twitter you can reply and things like that and keep everybody engaged and involved with certain questions. It's pretty neat. And to see the help that these golf instructors freely give, or whoever it might be, like we were talking about, it's neat. And I've learned so much doing this. I really have, watching what happens and the different drills that someone might help with, and I also, I send the questions out to specific people, and then, when those people answer them, then there's some conversation afterwards. And I also try and get the general audience involved with some what we call free-for-alls every, 4 or 5 times throughout the hour, where, everyone can be involved in the answer. And it's neat. It's neat to watch every week.
Now,
it's my way to give back to the game that I love so much. I have a lot of fun hosting it.
Right. And when do you normally do this? What day, or is it a specific?
Yeah, it's usually Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitter. People can send questions in whenever they want through my website, MikeFaygolf.com. They can, if they like my Facebook page, Mike Faygolf, or Twitter. In fact, sometimes we get questions live through the show, and, I send them out to, the world's best. That's what we call it, and they're fantastic people. And some golf instructors you may never heard of, and they're awesome. And there's some golf instructors that are pretty famous too, Ted. It's neat. They all come together, and it's fun.
Well, really, you know what? The thing is with golf, it is a very interesting bunch. It's really like no other sport. I mean, where else can you tune in? Whether it be the Golf Channel or some other forum, and hear people like Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer and some of the greats of the game really offer, their, not just their opinions, but their advice. And then you get, some of the top teachers in the world, like a David Ledbetter or Butch Harmon or Hang Haney, and some of the other greats that are out there as well, that are really giving of their time. It's not all about the money. I mean, obviously they're very successful, many of them, but they're also willing to give back. And as you said, and I think that's fantastic. And that's really what I try to do with this program as well, is really to give back and give a forum, if you will, for a lot of the great professionals out there, such as yourself, that are doing a great job, that maybe don't always get an opportunity to be able to talk to an audience and share some of their story and share some advice to really the golfers out there. And also, one of the nice things too about the program, Mike, is that in addition to a general audience, is there are a lot of other golf professionals that tune in here that may learn from what you've discussed here tonight and say, hey, you know what, I never thought of that, or that's something that, I might like to do as well. So, it's kind of a similar format that I'm trying to do here as what you're doing through Twitter, and I think it's fantastic, and I think more of it needs to be done.
Well, thank you so much, Ted. I've followed your show for a while now. I think it's great. We have to get the word out to help people play better, and that's really what it's all about. We have to do that.
Yeah, we have to really take the game. Again, as I was sort of alluding to earlier, I think one of the things that has to happen in order to make what I consider effective change is we cannot. It's not a matter of just attracting people to the game. We've got to take the game to people, whether it be in the school system, into other junior programs. We need to get it out there, and not just through marketing and those sorts of techniques. I mean, they're going to help, but we really have to get clubs in the hands of people that maybe normally wouldn't have access to it through Snag Golf, as you suggested, and some of these other programs, because there's a lot of people that still don't have access or still don't know that much about golf other than what they see on TV, and their perception of it is not always accurate because they're seeing these big stars on the Golf Channel and things, and they think, wow, these guys are Tiger or whoever it happens to be. But the reality of it is 99% of the people out there that either play or could play golf are never going to get to that level, but they can still go out and have fun. And we need to make that possible for them. And that's really what people such as yourself and myself and all of the literally thousands of teaching professionals and coaches out there, both men and women, have really been doing here over the last several decades. And keep up the good work. Let me just do this, Mike. I'm going to give you an opportunity to reach out to my audience and just let those that might be in your area know how they can get a hold of you. And then also let's give them the website information so that they can go and check out some of the things we talked about tonight.
Absolutely. You can check out my website at mikefagolf.com, where all the writers, like you said, are there with some great articles and really good golf tips and a bunch of videos on there as well. We have YouTube and Twitter, Mike Fagolf. You can follow that. Follow the Ask the Pro Show. Instagram, Facebook, of course, all those things, just like you do, Ted. Just growing the game and having fun. You can get a hold of me there. And you can also check out BoyneGolf.com. Check out the website. Check out the awesome golf courses we have up here and everything we have to offer here at Boyne with the Golf Academy. It's all good stuff. Thanks so much for having me on, Ted.
Well, you're very welcome, and I know that you're going to be involved, as I recall, in some of the coaches' corners throughout the season as well. Looking forward to participating in that. And just on a final note, Mike, what are you looking forward to for 2016 in golf? What would you like to see both at the professional level and just as a teacher professional? What are you looking forward to seeing in the golfing world in the season as far as the players are concerned, and then also in golf instruction? What would you like to see? What are you excited about for this year?
No, I'm excited. I mean, how can you not be excited with Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy and all these guys playing such good golf? It's fantastic to watch, and that's going to be fun this year with Jason Day and Bubba and all these guys playing. It is exciting. We do miss the dominance of Tiger Woods, absolutely, but I think this is fun too. Who's going to win this week, right? And, in the world of golf, to watch it every week and see who's going to win, and you get some breakthrough players that are playing super duper. It's just fun as far as the world of golf. As far as what we do, growing the game and getting at our level here in Northern Michigan, getting more kids to play golf is a huge goal for me. I want more kids to play. I want more families to play. Grow the program and have more fun, attract them to it. And then I know my job's done. It's fun, all the stuff online and all that, but getting kids a golf club in their hand is important to me. It's good.
Well, it's what a great thing to have, a vision to have for 2016. And Mike, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. I know this was your first time on my program, and you're welcome back anytime. to come back. And as I said, you're going to be coming back for some Coach's Corner throughout the season as well. I'm looking forward to your input for that as well. But anytime that you have anything you want to share, or any of your fellow pros up there in Michigan, just point them my way and tell them they have an open invitation to come on the show and share some of their thoughts and viewpoints as well. And I appreciate your continued support.
Well, thank you so much, Ted. I appreciate it. Very nice.
All right. Well, I imagine you're going to be down at the PGA show. I'm sure our paths will cross. So I'll be looking for you. I know what you look like. And I'm sure you know what I look like by now. And I look forward to connecting with you, hopefully down at the show, and at the very least exchange a handshake. So, Mike, thank you very much again for coming on Golf Talk Live tonight. I've enjoyed talking with you. I've watched you as well many times on social media with your thoughts and inputs in the game, and keep up the good work. And it's been truly a pleasure and honor having you on the show tonight.
Thank you so much, Ted.
All right, have a great week, and I'll see you at the PGA.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, Mike. All right, that was my special guest, Mike Fay, PGA Director of Player Performance at the Boyne Golf Academy up in Michigan. And if you want to learn more about Mike Fay, you can go to MikeFayGolf.com, as we just talked about here, wrapping things up. And you can learn more about not only Mike Fay, but some of the great products that he is involved with, and also Ask the Pro if you're interested in doing that and getting involved in his Sunday evening show. I believe he said it was 9 o'clock Eastern time on Sundays. So go to his website, MikeFayGolf.com, and you can check that out there and maybe participate in his program as well. Always enjoy having these guys and gals on the show and sharing their information with you. And but more importantly, I want to take this opportunity to thank all of the listeners worldwide for faithfully tuning into Golf Talk Live each week. I truly do have get a lot of pleasure and enjoyment of having a number of highly talented coaches and teaching professionals like Mike Fay. Also, I enjoy having some authors and entrepreneurs who happen to stop by the program as well. And it's really through their participation and guest appearances that help make Golf Talk Live a first-class show. In addition, I want to thank some of the sponsors and supporters of the program, Mr. Jonathan Laird from South Coast Golf Guide. You've heard me mention Jonathan many times on the show, and of course each week I like to thank him. Go to southcoastgolfguide.com. South Coast Golf Guide, of course, is a publication here in the southeastern part of the United States, literally from Texas all the way over here to the northwestern part of Florida. Lots of great courses featured in the magazine. So if you're interested in playing some of these great tracks in here, go to southcoastgolfguide.com and request a copy. If you're not immediately in the area, or if you're planning on coming down to the area, visit his website, southcoastgolfguide.com, and you can request a copy be sent to you, and Jonathan will be more than happy. He is the owner and of course, the editor and publisher of South Coast Golf Guide, so make sure you do that. And also, if you're interested in advertising in the guide, you can reach Jonathan at southcoastgolfguide.com is his email address, and just let him know that Ted from Golf Talk Live sent you, and I'm sure he will take good care of you. Also, Meredith Kirk from Meredith Kirk Golf, meredithkirk.com. She was the 2014 Mrs. South Carolina winner, and she went on to make an attempt at the Mrs. USA competition. She didn't win the competition, but I know she did very well and enjoyed that, and has done so much. She's a great teacher professional and golf professional as well, and out in the South Carolina, Myrtle Beach area. And so if you're interested in working with her or learning more about her, you can go to meredithkirk.com. Thank you, Meredith, for all of your continued support. My good friends, Nikki and Tiffany Litherland, as I've mentioned many, many times, originally from Australia. Nikki, of course, is a great golf professional, and both he and his wife, Tiffany, and their children live here in the United States now, and I always enjoy chatting back and forth with them through different mediums of social media, and I want to thank them especially for all of their continued support in helping to spread the word about Golf Talk Live. Mr. Bernie Pinder, I can't say enough about this gentleman. Bernie, of course, is the founder and CEO of Ontic Golf. Ontic Golf, of course, is a line of custom putters, and actually I just finished creating their brand new website, so if you're interested in learning more about them and seeing some of my handiwork, you can go to onticgolf.com. And we just literally, in the last few days, launched their brand new website. Lots of good information on there. And if you're interested in purchasing one of Bernie's custom putters, there's you can shop right online from the website. We've got that set up there, and you can actually order one of his putters right directly from the website. And Bernie will, of course, get you set up very well for that and have that shipped out to you as soon as he can. And just a great putters, and he's a big supporter of the show. He's going to be actually involved more in a sponsorship role as we get closer to Coach's Corner. We're going to be having some great giveaways and great contests here, some of which Bernie is going to be involved with. So I want to thank Bernie Pinder from Ontic Golf for all of his continued support. And as I said, go to onticgolf.com is Bernie's website, and we just launched a new website which I actually created and developed for Bernie and his crew, and I look forward to helping them develop the Ontic Golf brand throughout the 2016 season. Mr. Peter Doyle, of course, from Doyle Golf Solutions over in Ireland, my good friend, great master club fitter and teacher professional as well over in Ireland. Thank you, Peter, for all of your continued support of the program. And I know that you're also involved with Ontic Golf as well. And I know you'll be doing some great things overseas to help that brand as well. So thank you, everybody, for all of your continued support. And just remember to tune in each and every week. Next week, I will not be having a show. I'm going to be taking a break next week because I'm going to be getting ready. As I said, the following week, of course, is the PGA Merchandising Show in Orlando, and I'll be heading down for a few days there. And there will be a show that Thursday night, which I believe is the 28th of January. We'll be doing a 1-hour show again featuring a great guest, so make sure you tune in that. But next week, I will not have the Golf Talk Live will not be broadcast next Thursday, but will the following Thursday, the 28th, from the PGA show. But I will have a Women of Golf show, the other program that I co-host with Cindy Miller, LPGA professional Cindy Miller. That will be taking place next Tuesday, which is the 21st, I believe. We will be having a great guest, Kate Tempesta, who has been on the show before on Golf Talk Live. She was scheduled late last year on the Women of Golf show that Cindy and I worked together on, and unfortunately we ran into some last-minute technical problems, had to cancel, so we've rescheduled her. So Women of Golf show will be on next week from Tuesday, 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf, but the Golf Talk Live show will not be airing next week, but will return the following week. Thank you, everybody, again for tuning in. As you can tell, my voice is getting a little hoarse here, so I need to vacate as quickly as I can. Thank you very much for all your continued support, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time right here, Thursday at 6 p.m. Central, right here on Golf Talk Live. God bless everybody.